Hello, welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. Pension reform, a huge topic in Sacramento, and here to talk about it now is Assemblyman Don Wagner, who has some comments on the governor's 12-point pension reform plan, as well as a pension cap reform plan of your very own.
Exactly. And hello, Leslie. Good to be with you again.
Thank you very much.
The governor has put forward a 12-point pension plan, and I think it's a fairly good start at solving the problem, but there's a lot of work left to be done. The problem we found is that the Democrats haven't quite gotten behind their governor's proposal. So what we did just last week was introduce the governor's proposal as our own from the Republican caucus. So we're taking the governor at his word. We're introducing that legislation, and we'd like to see it enacted.
Okay, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly about the 12-point pension reform plan. What works in his plan, your newly adopted plan?
Well, some of what works in there is, for example, he does have a pension cap. I've got a bill that has a pension cap as well, but I'll work with the governor and the governor's cap. I think that's a good thing. Another thing is he's moving state employees from defined benefit to defined contribution plans, and he's got a component in there for 401ks. I think that makes a lot of sense. We've seen over really the entire course of the history of this country, the stock market will perform over time. And the governor's proposal, most of it applies to new employees coming into the system. That's one of the big flaws with it, but with respect to new employees coming into the system, you've got plenty of time for the market to do what it has historically done and provide benefits that will provide safe retirements, secure retirements for workers 30, 40 years down the road when they finally get out of the system.
So you're talking about what works. I guess if it's in the plan, you wouldn't say it doesn't work, but maybe it doesn't go far enough that you would do differently.
Well, I'm not sure there's anything I would do differently with respect to the plan itself. What I would do, though, is continue the dialogue with our public employees and try to find a way to make more immediate savings and solutions. As I say, the governor's plan rolls out over 30 years of a new employee's entire career. Well, before that 30 years is up, we're going to have quite a number of employees who are already in the system retire, and those are the folks that are, quite frankly, threatening bankruptcy of the state, of the cities and counties that employ them, for example. So that needs to be addressed.
We have a big problem right now. What can you do about it? Because a lot of times a deal is a deal. How do you renegotiate what has been agreed upon already?
You can't undo what has already been given to public employees. They have a vested property right in that retirement, and the courts have said so. For example, my bill only applies prospectively. I've got a bill that caps it.
Okay, let's talk about your bill. Your bill, AB 1633, would cap pensions at $100,000.
It caps pensions at $100,000. But again, it can only apply to new workers coming into the system because the courts have told us that we can't go back and renegotiate deals. Well, so what we need to do, and what I would urge the governor to do, is in all of his negotiations with all of the different bargaining groups in the state, that we take a firm line right now and at least stop the bleeding so that we don't continue the extravagant payouts that have been happening over the last years. And let me give you what I think is a very scary number. In 2005, we had roughly 1,600 state retirees who were making $100,000 or more. This year, it's 12,199. The number making over $100,000 has absolutely exploded. What we need to do is, with respect to current contracts and going forward, is negotiate much more sustainable benefits. That's something that isn't in the governor's plan that I'd like to see.
There's a lot of heavy lifting ahead.
A lot of work.
Thank you very much for being here.
My pleasure, Leslie. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in. Stay with us. More HLN right after this.